Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something that, well, I think it's a bit of a secret weapon for anyone who loves tea. We're talking about proper tea storage. It sounds maybe a little basic, but honestly, keeping that flavor, that aroma, the quality of your tea leaves intact over time, it's absolutely essential.
It really is.
So our mission today is basically to shortcut you to being really well informed on keeping your tea in, well, top condition. Doesn't matter if you're new to tea or you've been drinking it for years.
Yeah, let's dig in. It's amazing how often this gets missed. Tea is fundamentally, it's quite delicate. It's an agricultural product, right?
Right.
And it can lose what makes it special, that unique character from where it grew, if you don't handle it right after it's processed.
Yeah.
You almost have to think of it as still being alive in a way.
Oh.
Always reacting to its surroundings.
That's a really interesting way to put it. Still alive. So when you say it's vulnerable, what are we actually fighting against? What are the main enemies here?
Okay, so there are basically 5 big ones, 5 critical factors that degrade tea. And if you understand these, you know how to protect it.
All right, lay 'em on us.
First up, air. Exposure to air causes oxidation.
Okay, oxidation, like with black teas. Right, that's intentional sometimes.
Exactly. Controlled oxidation is part of the process for many teas, but uncontrolled oxidation after the tea is finished, that's different. It doesn't just make the flavor fade, it actually changes the tea's chemistry. You get these off notes, these sort of stale flavors. It's not just loss, it's transformation in a bad way.
Right, a mutation. Got it. So keep the air out. What about moisture? Tea feels dry.
It feels dry, but it's what we call hygroscopic.
Hygroscopic.
Yeah, it means it loves to pull moisture out of the air. And if it absorbs too much,
well,
you get mold, spoilage.
Moldy tea. Definitely want to avoid that.
It makes it totally undrinkable, even unsafe.
Yeah.
So moisture is a big no-no.
Okay, air, moisture. What's next? I'm guessing light has to be on the list.
Oh, absolutely. Light, especially UV light. Think of it as a silent destroyer.
Silent destroyer. I like that. Dramatic.
Well, it is. It breaks down the chemical compounds, the good stuff in the tea. You lose flavor, you lose color, even just ambient room light over time, especially for delicate greens or whites. It just dulls them, strips away those subtle notes before you even get the kettle on.
So that pretty glass jar on the sunny kitchen counter, bad idea.
Very bad idea, unless it's in a dark cupboard.
Okay. And heat. Seems logical that would be bad too.
It is. Heat basically speeds up all the bad reactions.
Yeah.
High temperatures make the tea lose its flavor and aroma much, much faster. That's why you always hear store tea in a cool, stable place, away from the oven, away from sunny spots.
Makes sense. Cool, dry, dark. It's starting to sound like a vampire's lair for tea.
Ah, a little, yes. But there's one more.
Oh.
Odors. This is one people forget. Tea leaves are like little sponges for smells.
Really? Like they'll pick up smells from other things in the cupboard?
Absolutely. Very easily.
Yeah.
Imagine brewing this beautiful, delicate white tea, and it tastes faintly of, I don't know, curry powder.
Oh no. Or like cleaning supplies.
Exactly. It completely ruins the intended taste. So keeping tea away from anything with a strong smell, spices, coffee, onions, cleaning stuff is really important.
Okay. Wow. So the 5 horsemen of the tea apocalypse: air, moisture, light, heat, and odors.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
So now that we know the enemy, how do we fight back? Let's talk practical solutions. Containers. That seems like the first line of defense.
It is.
Tin containers seem like the classic choice. You see them everywhere. What's the deal with tin?
Well, they're popular for good reason. Tins are generally pretty airtight, and they're great at blocking light. Plus, they usually have those snug-fitting lids.
And they often look quite nice, too.
They do, and they're durable. They last a long time.
Okay, so pros: airtight, light blocking, durable, often decorative. Any downsides? Cons?
Yeah, a couple. They can dent or get scratched, obviously. And sometimes, if the tin isn't lined properly on the inside, there's a small chance it could impart a slightly metallic taste. You want to avoid that if possible.
Right. Metallic tea doesn't sound great. Okay, what about glass jars? Super common in kitchens.
Yep, very common. They can be airtight if they have a good seal, easy to clean, and the big plus for many people is you can see the tea inside. Good for organization, looks nice.
Feel a butt coming. Based on what you said about the 5 horsemen.
You guessed it. The big red flag with clear glass is light.
Right. The silent destroyer.
Exactly. Glass jars offer 0 protection from light unless you store them inside a dark cupboard or pantry.
Yeah.
Of course, they're breakable, fragile.
Okay. So glass is convenient, but you need to be careful about where you put it. What about ceramic containers? They often look really nice, very traditional.
Ceramic is great aesthetically, no doubt,
Sure.
and it's excellent at blocking light. Plus, ceramic tends to stay cool, which helps protect the tea from temperature fluctuations.
Sounds pretty good. Any drawbacks there?
Well, like glass, they can be fragile, maybe even more so, and they can be quite heavy. And the other thing is the seal. Sometimes those lids, even if they look tight, might not be perfectly airtight. You have to check the fit carefully.
Right, the seal is critical. Okay, moving towards something maybe a bit tougher. Stainless steel containers. Sounds pretty robust.
Stainless steel is definitely robust,
Yeah.
very durable, lasts forever, blocks light completely. And again, if the seal is good, they're very airtight. Great for protection.
Seems like a solid option. Any potential issues with stainless steel?
They can be a bit heavy, like some ceramics. And just like with tin, there's that small possibility of metallic taste if they aren't properly lined or made of food-grade steel.
Gotcha. Always check the quality. Now, what about wooden boxes? You see those sometimes. They have a nice natural look.
They do have a lovely aesthetic,
Yeah.
very natural, and wood itself blocks light effectively.
But wood, it's porous, isn't it? Does that cause problems with, say, moisture or odors?
That's the potential issue, yes. Wood can, over time, absorb a bit of moisture from the air or even pick up ambient odors.
Ah, so it could affect the tea inside eventually.
Potentially. And depending on how well the box is made, the seal might not be perfectly airtight either. So, beautiful, but maybe not the absolute best for long-term preservation of very delicate teas.
Okay. And last but not least, the one everyone has, plastic containers. Lightweight, cheap.
Exactly. Plastic is lightweight, versatile, often inexpensive. And many plastic containers are designed to be airtight, which is good.
But the cons list for plastic often feels a bit longer in the food world, doesn't
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
Plastic can absorb odors quite badly, and stains too. If you store a smoky Lapsang souchong in a plastic container, you might taste it in the next tea you put in there.
Ugh, yeah. Ghost flavors.
Exactly. And then there's the environmental aspect, which is a concern for many people.
Right. Okay, so we've walked through the main options.
Right.
Tin, glass, ceramic, stainless steel, wood, plastic, each with pros and cons. Now, the big question, how do you actually choose? There are so many factors.
It really comes down to your specific situation, your tea, your environment, your habits.
Yeah.
But there are key things to think about.
Okay, like what?
First, obviously consider the material based on what we just discussed. Do you need maximum durability? Go for tin or stainless steel. Is seeing the tea important and you have a dark cupboard? Maybe glass works.
Right. And the seal. You've mentioned that a few times.
Absolutely critical. Evaluate the seal. Whatever material you choose, look for a really tight-fitting lid, something that genuinely keeps air and moisture out. That's job number one. If the seal is bad, the material doesn't matter much.
Okay, seal is paramount. What about size? Does the size of the container matter beyond just fitting the tea?
It does, actually.
Yeah.
Consider the size. You want to match the container size to the amount of tea you usually store.
Why is that?
Because if you have a huge container that's only half full, all that empty space is filled with air.
Ah, more air means more oxidation, even if the seal is good.
Exactly. It's a bit counterintuitive, but it's better to use a smaller container that's mostly full than a big one with lots of headspace.
That's a great tip. Okay, so material, seal, size. What else? Light again?
Definitely think about light exposure. Where will you keep the container? If it's out on a counter or even on an open shelf that gets some daylight.
Then you need something that blocks light.
You absolutely do. Tin, stainless steel, opaque ceramic. Don't rely on storing a clear glass jar out of direct sunlight. Even indirect light does damage over time.
Good point. And finally, I guess, how it looks.
Yeah, let's be honest. Aesthetics matter to some extent. You're going to see this container in your kitchen. Choose something you like the look of that fits your style. There are so many options now that are both functional and beautiful.
Okay, that's really helpful. Material, seal, size, light, looks. So let's say you've chosen the perfect container. What about the day-to-day? The actual habits of storing tea properly.
Right, the container's just the start. The daily practices are just as vital. First, and we've touched on this, always keep your tea in a cool, dry place, consistently. Think pantry, covered away from the stove, away from the kettle that's always steaming, away from windows.
Cool and dry, check. And the odor thing?
Yes. Avoid strong odors. Actively keep your tea containers away from the spice rack, the coffee beans, the garlic, the cleaning supplies under the sink. Be mindful of what its neighbors are.
Treat it like a sensitive hermit.
Pretty much. And I know I sound like a broken record, but use airtight containers. Reinforce that seal every time you close it. It's the #1 thing for preserving flavor and aroma.
Okay, airtight, airtight, airtight. Got it. What if you buy like a big bag of your favorite tea? Is it okay to just keep dipping into that big bag?
Ideally, no.
Yeah.
If you buy in bulk, it's much better to store tea in small batches.
Ah, so decanted.
Exactly. Keep the main stack sealed tight and put just enough for maybe a week or two into a smaller daily use container. That way, you're only exposing a small amount to air frequently, and the bulk stays fresher for longer.
That makes a lot of sense. Minimizes exposure.
Precisely. And one last simple practical tip.
Go on. I feel like I probably forget this one.
Label your containers. Seriously. Put the type of tea and ideally the date you bought it or opened it.
Yes. Guilty as charged. I have mystery tins.
We all do. But labeling helps you know what's what, and crucially, it helps you use the older tea first, ensuring everything gets drunk while it's still in its best. Avoids finding that sad, forgotten tin of who knows what from 2 years ago.
Okay, label everything. That's a good resolution. So, putting it all together, investing in good storage, adopting these habits, it's not just about making tea last longer. It sounds like it's really about investing in the quality of every single cup you make.
That's exactly it. You're protecting the freshness, the flavor, the aroma that the tea maker intended for you to experience. You're ensuring the tea you bring home is the tea you actually taste.
That's powerful. Now, for people listening who might be thinking, okay, where do I start? Any specific recommendations? Did our sources mention any brands that do this particularly well?
They did, actually. A few came up that align well with these principles. TVAC containers got mentioned. They're apparently really known for an excellent airtight seal, almost a vacuum seal, and they block light. Great for delicate loose-leaf teas.
Okay, TVAC.
Then there's Upton Tea Imports. They offer more traditional, often elegant tin containers. Classic, reliable, good seals.
Nice.
For glass, if you really want glass, but promise to keep it in the dark, Anchor Honking makes durable jars, and apparently their airtight lids are pretty decent.
Good to know.
A more innovative one mentioned was Planetary Design Airscape. These have a special inner lid that pushes air out before you seal the outer lid. So really focused on minimizing that air exposure. Great for sensitive teas.
Oh, interesting. Like a plunger thing?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, if you like the ceramic look, Hario, known for coffee gear too, they offer some really nice looking ceramic canisters that block light and are functionally sound.
Hario, right. Okay, those are some great starting points. TVAC, Upton, Anchor Hawking, Airscape, Hario. So, wrapping this up, maybe a final thought to leave folks with. If we take this idea of careful storage seriously, connect it to the bigger picture, what could change? What new rituals, perhaps, or maybe a deeper appreciation might you discover just by consciously safeguarding the integrity of your tea, ensuring that every single brew is as it was meant to be by the people who grew and crafted it? Maybe think about how this knowledge doesn't just preserve tea, but actually elevates your whole experience with it. Turns a simple daily drink into, well, a more considered, maybe even a more meaningful pleasure, something to ponder over your next perfectly stored cup.